What if one of the healthiest communities on Earth has been quietly protecting its bodies? With something sitting in a kitchen jar? Not a supplement. Not a fancy detox. Not some billionaire biohacker routine. Just food. On the Japanese island of Okinawa, people are famous for living long, active lives. Many stay energetic well into their 90s and even 100s. They garden. They cook. They move constantly. And they eat in a way that modern science is starting to pay very close attention to. Because hidden inside many of their traditional meals is fermentation. And researchers now believe these fermented foods may help support something incredibly important: how the body repairs itself at the cellular level. And the wild part? This ancient practice has existed for centuries. The island of long life. Okinawa doesn't feel rushed. Meals aren't grabbed through a drive-through window. Food isn't treated like fuel you squeeze in between meetings. It's ritual. It's connection. It's daily medicine. You'll see grandparents in gardens before sunrise. Families cooking together. Neighbors sharing soup and pickled vegetables like they've done for generations. And their traditional diet is surprisingly simple. Purple sweet potatoes. Sea vegetables. Soy-based foods. Fresh herbs. Small portions. And fermented staples that show up almost every single day. For years, researchers studying Okinawa noticed something unusual. The population had historically lower rates of chronic disease and exceptional longevity compared to many Western countries. Scientists from institutions like National Geographic Society and researchers connected to the famous Blue Zones studies helped bring global attention to Okinawa's lifestyle patterns. But among all the conversations about longevity, there's one ancient food technique modern science suddenly can't stop studying. Fermentation. What fermentation actually does. Okay. So what actually is fermentation? At its core, fermentation is controlled transformation. Tiny beneficial microbes, bacteria, yeast, even certain molds, break down food over time. And in the process, something fascinating happens. The food becomes easier to digest. Nutrients become more available. New enzymes and bioactive compounds are created. It's almost like nature starts pre-cooking the food before you even eat it. You're basically letting microbes do part of the digestive work for you. And this is where things get interesting. Researchers from Harvard Medical School and Stanford University have explored how fermented foods may influence gut microbiome diversity and inflammation markers. One widely discussed Stanford study found that diets rich in fermented foods increased microbiome diversity and lowered several inflammatory markers in participants. That matters because chronic inflammation is deeply connected to aging and cellular stress. Now obviously, fermented foods are not magic. But they may help support several systems involved in recovery and maintenance: gut health, nutrient absorption, antioxidant activity, immune balance, and even processes linked to cellular cleanup, like autophagy. Think about it like this: your body is constantly repairing damage. Every day. Every hour. And your gut plays a much bigger role in that repair process than most people realize. Okinawa's fermented staples. Miso. One of Okinawa's most iconic fermented foods is miso. Miso is a fermented soybean paste made using salt and koji, a fermentation culture that's been used in Japan for centuries. The flavor is deep, savory, rich with umami. And in Okinawan homes, miso soup isn't trendy health food. It's just normal life. Morning soup. Family dinners. Comfort food. Simple habits repeated for decades. Researchers in Japan have studied fermented soy foods extensively, including their potential relationship with cardiovascular and metabolic health. And while no single food guarantees longevity, traditional dietary patterns consistently seem to matter more than isolated superfoods. Natto. Then there's natto. And honestly, a lot of people try it once and immediately panic. It's sticky, stringy, strong smelling. Definitely an acquired taste. But natto is one of the most nutrient-dense fermented foods in Japanese cuisine. It contains a compound called natto kinase that researchers have investigated for cardiovascular support in circulation. Studies associated with institutions like National Institutes of Health have discussed natto kinase's potential effects on blood flow and vascular health. Again, not miracle claims. Just fascinating science around traditional foods people have eaten for generations. Fermented vegetables. Fermentation also helped preserve seasonal vegetables long before refrigeration existed. Cabbage, radish, sea vegetables, local greens. But preservation was only part of the story. These foods added flavor, texture, and microbial diversity to everyday meals. And maybe more importantly, they kept people connected to the rhythm of preparing food slowly, together. There's something deeply human about that. The science behind cellular recovery. So here's the big question: how does what's happening in your gut affect how your body repairs itself? Turns out, constantly. Scientists now understand that the gut microbiome communicates with the immune system, metabolism, inflammation pathways, and even mitochondrial function. Your microbiome is less like a passive digestive tube, and more like an active ecosystem. When beneficial microbes break down fiber and fermented compounds, they can produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds researchers believe help support gut integrity and immune regulation. Researchers from organizations like Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins University have continued exploring these microbiome aging connections. Now let's simplify this. Think of your cells like tiny kitchens. Every day there's waste, stress, damage, cleanup, repair. Fermentation may help support systems that keep those kitchens running smoothly. Less chaos, better communication, more efficient maintenance. And over decades, small daily habits can create very big differences. Why modern diets miss this? Modern diets moved fast. Traditional food traditions didn't. And somewhere along the way, many people stopped eating living foods altogether. Today, huge portions of the modern diet are ultra-processed, shelf-stable, heavily refined, and stripped of microbial diversity. Food became convenience first, connection second. We eat distracted, rushed, alone. And the irony? Some of the most powerful foods connected to recovery and resilience are also some of the oldest and simplest. A jar of fermented vegetables, a bowl of soup, a slow cooking ritual passed between generations. Nothing flashy. But maybe that's the point. Easy ways to start at home. The good news? You do not need to move to Okinawa. You just need to start feeding your body differently. And slowly is fine. Maybe you start with miso soup a few nights a week. Maybe you try kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, or live yogurt. Maybe you experiment with quick pickling vegetables at home. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. That's it. Simple food can still be powerful food. And honestly, your taste buds change over time. A lot of fermented foods grow on people slowly. Kind of like coffee. Or olives. Or adulthood. Scientific references and research. What makes this topic so fascinating is that ancient food traditions are now intersecting with modern science. Research connected to Stanford University found fermented foods may help increase microbiome diversity and reduce inflammatory markers. Studies cataloged through the National Institutes of Health continue exploring gut health, inflammation, aging, and fermented compounds like natto kinase. And institutions including Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health have highlighted the growing evidence linking dietary patterns, microbiome health, and long-term wellness. Science is still evolving. But one thing keeps repeating across cultures with exceptional longevity: real food, daily movement, community, and deeply rooted eating traditions. In conclusion, maybe longevity was never just about living longer. Maybe it's about staying connected to people, to rituals, to nourishment, to the small daily habits that quietly shape a lifetime. And maybe the real secret to repair isn't hidden in a lab. Maybe it's been quietly fermenting in kitchens for centuries. What fermented foods do you already eat? Tell me in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more deep dives into the foods, habits, and cultures connected to longevity around the world.